Hello to all my friends and subscribers. Assalamualaikum, kesahe sanggaye, magandang araw sa lahat, dobro horangku, buenos tardes, and of course to all who are watching, good day to all of you. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and here I'm gonna make AutoCAD easy and a handy tool for you. This video is gonna be the second part of our tutorial series, and in this lesson, I'm gonna show you how to manage your layers. By now, we already have the drawing of the piece of LUT that we're gonna work on, exactly as what we did previously. And if you don't have it yet, I suggest to watch the part 1, and from there, you can easily create your own LUT drawing from scratch. You can also use your own LUT drawings, but I suggest it will be better if you will use the same LUT drawing that we have here on the screen, so you can easily work along with us. I designed this video into 10 important facts and commands that everyone needs to know to understand layering. If you know these 10 facts, I guarantee that you can work independently with layers and definitely you'll be savvy in this field. So without further ado, let's begin the countdown. Here are the top 10 important facts and commands about layering and how to be savvy and working on it. But before we begin, as usual, those who are new here in my channel, please do me a great favor of hitting the like and subscribe button and the bell icon as well to keep you updated on my next videos. And those who are already here, thanks a lot for staying, and please let me hear your thoughts on the comments section below. On number 10, you need to know what layering is. Layering is a system of managing your drawing which is helpful to control the visibility of your drawing, gives a quick control of the object properties. You can have an easy isolation of the objects, protect an object from being moved or being deleted, and many other functions. To illustrate, layering is like drawing a certain object in a transparent plastic acetate sheets, in which each sheets represent one layer. Like let's say you want the property line in one sheet or layer, and the letters or the text on the other layer, and the other building elements on the other layer, like let's say the walls, the columns, the electrical plants, etc. in a different layer. And when you combine all these layers into one, you can create a single detailed plan. It's an ingenious means of managing your drawing, like if you don't want to show the text, you don't have to delete it, just turn it off. Or if you don't want to show the building, for example, you don't have to erase it forever. Just turn it off. And if you want to put them back, just turn everything on. And to work on these layers, it is essential that you know the toolbars that is designed for it. And that will lead us down to the 9th important fact about layering, and that is, you have to get familiar with the toolbars. There are 2 important toolbars that are associated with layering. And when we say toolbars, I'm talking about these sets of icons that are grouped together in one bar. And these 2 toolbars that are especially made for layers are the layers and the layers 2. You can make these toolbars active by right-clicking on an empty space on your ribbon, AutoCAD, Layers and Layers 2. Mine is already active and here they are. By default, Layer toolbar is part of the AutoCAD Classic workspace. The icon that I found handy here is the layer control. And when there is no selection, whatever layer that is displayed here is the current layer. So in this case, layer A-building is the current or the present layer. And the moment you made a selection, let's say this property line, the layer of that object will be displayed here on the layer control. And from here, you can do whatever options you want. Click it. There is an option on or off, freeze or thaw, and lock or unlock. Let's choose off. This is what will happen. And when you want to put it back, click it, then click the on and off options. Another handy feature is this little icon called Make Objects Layer Current. Click it, then select an object, like let's say this property line, and you made the layer of that object current in no time. Layers 2 is an extension of layer, and here we can see layer isolate and all these actions that we just perform on layers, except that they have their own icons like the freeze, on and off, layer isolate, lock and unlock. And when you are using the drafting and annotation workspace, you won't see these layers and layers 2 toolbars, but the layers tab, where you can also see the actions that we just performed using the layers and the layers 2 toolbars. And when you already know what layering is and its toolbars, you can now start managing your layers. And that will lead us down to the 8 important facts about layering, and that is how to create layers. It is very important to organize your drawings using layers. There's nothing more annoying for a draftsperson than to work on a drawing where everything is in a single layer, so please don't do it. And the best time to layer all your drawings is from the very start of your project. Layers will be created using the Layers Properties Manager. 2 ways to access it. You can click this icon on the Layers tab, or when you're using the AutoCAD Classic, you can click this icon on the Layers toolbar, or in the command line, type the keyboard shortcut LA, enter. And most probably, the Layer Properties Manager dialog box is a bit out of scale the first time you open it. Just point your mouse on the lower right bottom of the box, and when this resize pointer appears, hold it by your left mouse button and drag it to whatever size you like. And you can do the same on these columns. Just hover down your pointer to the edge of this column and do the same procedure. The Layers Properties Manager is divided into 3 major parts or sections: the Filter section, the Layer Name, and the Properties section. The Filters section is very practical when you have hundreds of layers in the drawing. The Layer Name is where you can find all the layers that exist in the drawing, and in the status, the one that is checked is the current layer. And to create a new layer, right-click on any layer, let's say this layer 0, and still you can see tons of actions that you can perform. And here is where you can create a new layer. Click it, then a new layer will be created. You can name it whatever you want. Let's say A-wall, architectural wall. Notice that the properties of the new layer that we created is exactly the same on the one that we right-click. And speaking of properties, this section is where you can modify the properties of the layer. Here you can see the layer control, same functions as in the layers toolbar. The color, so let's change the color, let's say yellow. Line type, keep it continuous. And the line weight, so wall is a little bit thicker, so let's make it 0.20 millimeters. To change the line type like this one on the property line, go back to Layer Properties Manager, LA, and on the line type, pick it. There will be a very few line types here. Go to Load, pick one, and Control A as in all. Okay? Just reload all selected. Then OK. Then you can choose any line types you want. I usually use Center 2 on the line type for the property line, and if it doesn't appear on your screen, type LTS or Line Type Scale. Enter and change it to 1000. Enter. And now that you know how to create a layer, it doesn't mean that you will create a layer for each and every object. That is a big no, brothers. Just make a layer for certain groups and discipline like the furnitures, walls, columns, toilet fixtures, electrical and plumbing fixtures, title blocks, etc. And when your layer manager is so populated like this, it will be very hard for you to find the layer that you are looking for. And this will lead us down to the 7th important facts about layering, and that is, you have to practice layer grouping. There are 2 types of groupings that I can show you. One is by name prefix, and the other one is using the filters section. As you can see here on this project, all the architectural elements here have a prefix on its name, and since it is architectural, I fixed a dash in the beginning of each names. Also, S dash for all related to structural, E dash for electrical, P dash for plumbing, or whatever prefix you can think of. So whenever you will open the layer manager, all items on the same discipline will be grouped together. Another method is by filter section. Here, you can create a group by right-clicking all, click New Group Filter, and a new group will be created. Name it whatever you want. This time, let's name it Electrical. Enter. To populate your group, go to All, select the layer, and drag it to whatever group you think it belongs to. There are some elements on the drawings that definitely needs to be protected from being moved or being deleted, such as the property lines, the columns, grid lines, or anything that has to be steady or fixed. So on the 6th place, I'm gonna show you how to protect a layer. If you have a complex plan like this, there are some cases that the columns, the grid lines, or any basic building elements will be moved, or worse is that it'll be deleted by mistake. And if that happens, the whole project will be a messed up. A very simple step to protect those elements is to lock it. Select the object, go to the layer control, and click this lock icon. Another method is using the Layers 2 toolbar. Click this layer lock icon and choose the layer or object that you want to lock, let's say this column, and you will notice that it appears to be faded than the other objects. It means that you can still see the object, but you cannot by any means move or delete it. If you want to unlock it, same procedure. Select the locked object, go to layer control, or type LAYULK or layer unlock. Enter and select the object that you want to unlock. On the fifth place is how to control the layer visibility. When we say visibility, this refers to how your objects appears on the drawing. Let's say in this example, you want to simplify the drawing by hiding these furnitures. Two ways to do it. You can turn it off or freeze the layer. First, let's try to turn it off. You can select the object, go to layer control, and hit this light icon. And everything that it is in that layer will be hidden, not deleted in the drawing. When you need to turn off more than one layer, you don't need to click one layer, then turn it off here, then another, then turn it off here, and again and again. Simply click this layer off icon in the Layers 2 toolbar or type lay off. Enter and select all the layers that you need to turn off. And when you want to turn everything on, type lay on. Enter. And everything will be turned on. Now let's try to freeze the layer. Almost the same procedure when you need to freeze the layer. But this time let's do it in the drafting and annotation workspace. So select an object, let's say this furniture. Go to layers control and hit this sun icon. And it will turn into snowflake icon and freezes the layer, and it will be invisible in the drawing. When you need to freeze more than one layer, simply click this freeze icon and select all the layers that you want to be frozen. You might probably notice that I tried freezing these toilet fixtures but it didn't work. It is because it is the current layer and you cannot freeze the current layer. If you want to unfreeze everything, lay THW or layer Thaw, enter. Off and freeze seems to have the same effect, which will hide the objects. The difference, however, is that when you freeze a layer, AutoCAD releases it from memory, so you'll see a boost in performance because AutoCAD no longer has to keep track of it. This means that the program will have more memory for other operations, so you will see some overall speed up on zoom, pan, improve object selections, and many other operations. It is helpful to freeze layers that you want to be invisible for a long time. Like, let's say you want to hide these plants for a long time because you are working on furnitures. Freeze it. So when you turn the furnitures off and you use the command lay on, the plants will stay invisible and it will not be affected by the lay on command. And what if you want the furniture to be the only visible objects in the drawing? Then here comes the number 4 important fact about layering, and that is how to isolate a layer. You can click this layer isolate icon or type the keyboard shortcut lay ISO. Enter. Select the object, enter, and everything except the object you selected using this command will be turned off. And to put it back, type lay on. The third important fact on layering is that you have to memorize the keyboard shortcuts. Instead of being dependent on icons, I encourage all my students and viewers to be well versed in keyboard shortcuts. This will save time and you will look very professional in this field than being dependent on icons. So far, since the start of this video, here are the useful keyboard shortcuts that I feel worth memorizing, but please note that you are still free to use the icons if you find it more convenient for you. So we have LA or Layer Properties Manager, Lay MCUR, make the selected object the current layer, Lay ULK or unlock the layer, Lay CUR, put the selected object on the current layer, Lay Off, turn off selected layers, Lay On, turn on all layers that is off, Lay FRZ, freeze selected layers, Lay THW, unfreeze all frozen layers, and Lay ISO, isolate the selected layer. By default or the original settings of AutoCAD, all new objects are created on the current layer. But you can specify a default layer where you want some certain objects to be created. And that will be our second important fact on layering, and that is, you need to be familiar with the default system variables. For example, you want all your dimensions to be created on this ADIM2 layer. To do it, we can use the system variable DIMLAYER and choose the layer where you want all your dimensions to be created. So let's try. For now, my current layer is furniture. I will create a dimension. I will select it to show you that it landed on this current layer. But I want all my dimensions to go to a dim2 layer. So on the command line, type DIMLAYER. Enter. Enter new value for DIMLAYER or dot for use current. Type the exact layer name, a-dim space 2. Enter. So let's try. Create the dimension. Even if you are in this furniture layer. So let's try to check its layer. So it landed on that layer. So it saves time because there's no need for you to go to the dim layer every time you create a dimension. Let's try the other variables like the HPLAYER for the hatches. I created 3 rectangles. So hatch or H for hatch. Select object. Select one triangle. Make it 200. Enter. Now I want all my hatches to come to a-wall hatch. So type HPLAYER. Enter value for HPLAYER. A-wall hatch. Enter. Take note that I'm still on current layer, which is furniture. Hatch. Enter. Select this 2 layer square. Enter. It came on wall hatch. Before we finally go to number 1, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, and share my videos if you find it a bit useful or if you learned something. And the number 1 most important fact about layering is that you need to understand the layer 0 and the def points. The layer 0 and the def point is probably the most mysterious layers in AutoCAD. The first time you open a drawing, press F7 to get rid of these grid lines and Command LA. There is already this layer 0 as a default layer. You can never delete it. And from here, you can create new layers. Name it wall. Change it to yellow. One notable use of layer 0 is when you create a block. So when that block is inserted or placed on another layer, it will inherit the properties of that layer. Let's try. Let's create a block. Rectangle. Hatch. Enter. I'm going to copy this and change this into layer wall. So we have one which is on layer 0 and one is on layer wall. Select the object, Ctrl X. Then Shift Ctrl V to paste this as black. Now it is block. Do the same thing here. Select the object, Ctrl X, Shift Ctrl V. Now we have 2 blocks. Let's transfer this one, which is created on layer 0, to the other layer. As you can see, it inherits the property of that layer. Let's see if this one will behave the same way. Transfer it to layer 0. Let's see if it will become white. Now it is layer 0, but nothing happened because it was not created on layer 0. Def point stands for definition points. Let's command LA. Initially, you will not see the def point layer and it will appear only when you create your very first dimension. Let's try. Create dimension. Command LA. There is your def points. It is so special because it will never plot. As you can see on its icon, no matter how many times you click it, it will never activate. So it is basically means that everything that is on the def point will never print or plot. So all the objects that you want to see on the screen but you don't want it to appear on the printouts, you can put them all in the def points. So let's try. Let's put this object into def points. Select the objects, then def points, then plot. Continue to plot single sheet. Under the name, choose PDF. Then display, Windows. Then window these 2 objects. Preview. As you can see, one is visible and one is not. I find it handy when managing your viewports. Like for example, this one is a line and this one is a viewport and it is on def points. I will show you the plot preview. See, only this one is visible and the other one is not visible on the plot preview. Please note that layer 0 and Defpoint is related with each other. When you turn off the layer 0, for some reason, the Defpoints behave badly, like you can see all the objects in it, but you cannot touch it or select it. So do not turn off the layer 0. So there you have the top 10 important facts and commands you need to know about layering. Again, thank you for watching, stay safe and healthy, and may the true God Jehovah bless us all.